Hello, I'm Jasmine Mogadam, and I am the sole developer on Scribble Beasts. To start out, Scribble Beasts is a analog drawing game that I made last semester for a game design class. As you can see, I also made it with Noah, Danny, and yeah. And this was essentially like a very short 30-minute game where you draw. And just to sort of go over this, I thought that this would be a great game to turn into a sort of Jackbox game, like you see games like Drawful and such, where they display, they essentially are able to share drawings really quickly. And it's easier to set up games. You don't have to worry about finding art supplies. It's just overall a lot more convenient to play if it were like a Jackbox party game. You can also play remotely with people who aren't there. So I thought that that would be great for my hackathon project. Plus, it would force me to learn some back end web development, which I was really excited for. This was built entirely with WebSocket. Yeah, so here's the general premise of the game. First, you start with a scribble, just randomly, each player draws a random scribble, and then each player gets another player's scribble, and then they have to draw something out of it. In this case, I drew like a crocodile kind of dinosaur thing. Essentially goes another round, people give that lined piece of paper over to somebody, and the next person colors it. And in the next round, somebody adds small details. Like here, there is eyeballs, like little pupils on there. There's plate scales, all sorts of small stuff. And then the last person, flop everything over to the next person, just gets to name the creature. And that's this last step here. So that's the sort of game premise for building a Scribble Beast. And then the last part are these very silly end of the world cards. They can be something like the world is going to end because overdue homework is getting revenge by eating dogs, or cats and dogs have gotten over their distance differences and are beginning an assault on mankind. All sorts of like very kind of silly things that could end the world. And you have to argue why your Scribble Beast that you and all your friends created is going to solve this problem. And that's sort of where it mixes in some, if you've ever heard of Super Fight, some ideas of like you're essentially using this image that you've created to argue why yours would solve the problem more. And at the end, there's a ranking voting system to decide who wins by popularity. And then that person wins the Scribble Beast round. And then you can essentially keep going over and over again. That's the very simple, just game loop. So I'm going to show you my implementation of that. So here we have two instances of Scribble Beasts. Essentially, this is to simulate two different phones or something like that. And I can choose a room code. There's some like rudimentary form validation on here. It checks if a room code exists. So currently there are no rooms here. So if I hit join game, room code doesn't exist. I'm going to go ahead and create this room code. There we go. And let's say, hey, I'm this other person who wants to create room code A. If I try and create that game, it's already being created. But if this person were to leave, then that actually gets freed up and they're able to create it. Um, so I am going to have these two people join the same game. And here you go, you can see both of them updated. Here, other person is the person who made the room, so you're just waiting for everyone to join. And then here it'll tell you who made the room, and you don't have access to that start button game. And then you can hit start button, and then it shows that first step of scribbling. This is where I sort